Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaka Dhammayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shyatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanevya Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Sankarshan Dasadikarintinamane Namo Prabhupada Nuga Premamurti Kripatmane Gaurudesha Vikasanto Bhakti Varshine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Hare Krishna. So we had completed, we were continuing first chapter, 29th verse. We had completed 29th verse, where we saw that the two sides, the Duryodhan side Arjuna and Pandavas, they all had assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and both the sides started blowing their respective conch shells. They started to blow their respective conch shells, and there were different signs of victory on the side of Pandavas. And then Arjuna asked Krishna to take his chariot in between the two armies, and Krishna took him in between the two armies, and this is what Arjuna's, after seeing both the sides, this is what Arjuna's reaction was. So he was overcome, he was like, Prabhupada mentions the purport we had discussed earlier, that it is not because of weakness of heart, but he was actually feeling compassion. From a devotee's point of view, he was feeling compassion, and from an ordinary point of view, if you see, he was, from a conditions, because he is representing, he's playing our part. For us, he's playing that, part of the conditioned soul, though he's a pure devotee. So, so just like a conditioned soul has attachment to one's own family members, relative, friends, and it's very difficult for them to sometimes very difficult. So in same way here, though Arjuna's duty to fight was awaiting him, but he was practically on the battlefield about to fight, just war was about to begin, but because of his concern or seeing his own family members, he was the symptoms of fear, as is mentioned, body was trembling, hair was standing on end, and so on, were visible. Next we'll see 30th verse. So who would like to read first, Mataji's?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Am I audible?
Yeah, I could hear you asking, am I audible? Yes.
Now I'm audible, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, you are audible.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Yes, Mataji, now I'm audible.
yeah, you are audible. You can continue.
Okay, Mataji, this verse I have to cite first. Nacha.
Yeah, verse, synonyms, translation, then I'll scroll down. You can read the purport.
Nacha sapnami avastatun Okay, Mataji. Nacha Sapnomi Avastatum Ramat Virachame Manaha Niktani Chapashyami Viparitani Keshava. Synonyms not nor cha also Sapnomi am I able Avastatum to stay Ramati forgetting Eva as cha and me my mana mind Nittani cause cha also Pashyami I see Viparitani just opposite Keshava who killer of the demon Keshi. Krishna. Translation. I am now unable to stand here and I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is busy. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. Purport. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of the weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of Bhag 11.2.37. Such forgetfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe.
Hare Krishna, Dada Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. Um, okay, so further Arjuna is saying about his condition that I'm unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself. So when we are overcome by anxiety, fearfulness, or so, sometimes we don't know what to do. We are so confused by, we don't know what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. Like sometimes we are too much in fearful state or in anxiety or so Arjuna is also mentioning that I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. So earlier it was we had discussed that Arjuna was compassionate for the soldiers on his side. Not only he was already compassionate, and now when he saw the soldiers and all his friends, relatives, everybody had assembled to fight against them, so he felt compassion for them from the devotee's aspect. Now a normal person, if somebody has taken away your property, has just taken away, left you like a pauper on the street, and when you get a chance to take back all your things like your property and everything by legal ways or something, obviously that an ordinary person will fight against the other party. But here Arjuna is not an ordinary person. He's a pure devotee. So he was like, okay, even if they did so many things to us, but it's okay, they are so he just wanted to be, kind of forgive them for that. So this is from a devotee's aspect, if we see. And from if we see the characteristics of conditioned souls, yeah, again it comes back to attachment for the friends, relatives, kinsmen. So due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield and he was forgetting himself on account of his weakness of his mind. Earlier Prabhupada mentioned it was not weakness of heart, but it was compassion. So that was from as a devotee, and here when he's um, acting as a representative of the conditioned soul, so this is what happens with us. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence, and therefore there is fear, loss of mental equilibrium, and so on. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverse in the battlefield. He wouldn't be happy even by gaining victory over the foe, because even if he further he'll give the reasons in details. Just I'm telling here that even if one of the points he mentions later, that even if we win the battle, what will be the use, because all those our own friends, like now if you win a trophy in your school sports or college or whatever, then you will go back home and tell all your friends and your relatives that yes, I won this trophy. But here with Pandavas may win, but there will be no one to to share that victory with. So that is one of the reasons Arjuna will give in future, I mean in the coming verses. So he could only envision painful reverses. He wouldn't be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. So when one sees frustrations, he thinks, "Why am I here?" That's natural. When we are when most of us might have gone through that, um, or maybe a few, I don't know, but in general, most of the people go through frustration or depression, and they think like, why this is happening to me, why am I put in this situation, and so on. Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in Supreme Self. Further, if we see in little bit depth there, actual self-interest, Prabhupada mentions many places in his books. Actual self-interest is in Vishnu. Like our actual, we think our sense gratification is our self-interest. No, our actual self-interest is to become a devotee of the Lord, to be um, to take up devotional service. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self by Krishna's will. So, this was also covered by Srila Prabhupada in the introduction. He made it very clear that Arjuna is not a conditioned soul, just he is playing the role of a conditioned soul. Once he is a pure devotee. One's real self interest lies in Vishnu. Yeah, this is what I was mentioning. Or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battle would not only be a cause for only be a cause of lamentation for him, because all his friends, relatives, everybody will be uh, killed on the battlefield. So, okay, we'll go to the next verse. Who else would like to read Mataji's?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I read?
Yes, Mataji.
न च श्रेयो नृपास्वामी हत्वे स्वजनमावे न कंसके विजयम कृष्णा न च रजयम सुखानि च. Synonyms: na, nor, cha, also, shreyas, good. Anupashyami, do I foresee, hatva, my killing, swajanam, own kinsmen, hava me, hava, ahab, in the fight, na, nor, kanshke, do I desire, vijayam, victory, Krishna, O Krishna, na, nor, cha, also, rajyam, kingdom, sukhani, happiness, therefore, cha, also. Translation: I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Purport: without knowledge that one's self interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, conditioned souls are attracted by bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in such situations. In such a blind conception of life, they forget even the causes of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes of a Kshatriya. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in front of the battlefield under Krishna's personal orders, and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, Arjuna is telling further to Krishna that I do not see how any good can come. So earlier also it was mentioned in the purport that he was seeing only reverse consequences from the battle, so he was not willing to fight the battle. So, killing my own kinsman in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire in subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness, because it will be at the cost of killing his own family members. Puppet. Without knowing that one's self interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, conditioned souls attracted by bodily relationships. This is called as sometimes skin disease. Like this is my friend, this is my relative, this is my, we have that thing. Hoping to be happy in such situations. In such a blind conception of life, they forget even the causes of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes for Kshatriya. Of course, he is as we saw, he's playing that role. So, from a Kshatriya point of view, from a moral point of view, let's keep the dharmic or the devotional part away. Just from a moral point of view, also, he being a Kshatriya, and practically he is standing on the battlefield. So, if you go to the battlefield, if the army people will go to the battlefield, and then they will think like, oh, maybe we should just give up and surrender to the enemy and not fight the battle. So it is not considered very good decision. So from the moral point of view also, Arjuna being a Kshatriya, he is practical in the battlefield, about to fight the battle, and now he is not willing to, he's hesitant to go forward or to fight the battle. So that's not a very good decision. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in front of the battlefield under Krishna's personal order, and the person in a renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are eligible to enter into the sun globe, which is so powerful and dazzling. So, if one a Kshatriya gives up his is killed in the battlefield, then it is said he goes to the higher planetary systems, or he goes to a better, receives a better position in his next life, higher planets. But here practically, if you see, Krishna himself was present, so obviously uh, if you remember in Krishna book, all the demons also who were against Krishna, who wanted to, like Kamsa and all his demon friends, they wanted to kill Krishna, they wanted to harm Krishna and so on. But even if by killing they got liberation, even if Krishna killed them, it was as it is said, Krishna or the Lord is all good. So even if he killed them, they all got benefit of in liberation or whatever. So they were benefited. So and normally a Kshatriya, when he gives up his body he is killed in the battlefield, he goes to high planet system. But here specifically, the special case that Krishna himself was present also. So obviously, anyone who will be killed in the battlefield will have much better destination. Arjuna is reluctant even to kill his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thinks that by killing his kinsmen there would be no happiness in his life, and therefore he is not willing to fight. Just as a person who doesn't feel hunger is not inclined. Now, if from a devotee's point of view, a devotee may think about cooking for offering to the Lord. But a common point of view, if somebody is not hungry, they will not want to cook. I'm not hungry, then why should I cook and eat? So they will not be willing to cook. So similarly, Arjuna was also not very keen on fighting. So he wanted to just give up this fighting and live like a mendicant. But as a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence. So this we'll see in Bhagavad Gita towards the end of the chapter, towards the end, last chapters, that Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are all categorized as per guna and karma. So one who has the guna or qualities of a Kshatriya, they by naturally they will be inclined to act in a particular way. That's why it is said that As a Kshatriya, he requires kingdom for his subsistence. He cannot artificially live like a Brahmana or a Vaishya or a Sudra. So therefore, so because the Kshatriyas cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. So this is as per guna and karma, not as per birth. But Arjuna has no kingdom, and his sole opportunity for gaining a kingdom was the battlefield. I mean, fighting against his cousins and all in the battlefield. Therefore, he considers himself fit to go. Now, he knows his duty, but he's not willing to do it, and therefore, he is frustrated and he wants to just give up and go to the forest. Okay, this is 3 verses are together. Anyone else would like to read Mataji's? Okay, Pramila Mataji is on. Okay, it's already 4:35. So before we go there, I will maybe we'll stop here, and it would be nice if all of you can add at least one point from what we discussed last 2 verses, what we discussed, or if you have any queries, then please feel free. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
I want to add one point here. I have listened one of the interviews of Prabhupada that he was mentioning that in politics, non-violence is never works out. As Gandhiji has used non-violence for fighting for the freedom of India. That's why Krishna has made him end by non-violence only. And if Subhash Chandra Bose has used violence, he was using violence. He had made an army to fight the British. So India will be can be freedom. Yes, he had politics or in war. There is non-violence has nothing to do with when it comes for war or having own rights. She's not making me say anything. I will.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Um, so yeah, I could get your point that though people unknowingly may use that non-violence term in like as you gave the example of Prabhupada the mentioning about Mahatma Gandhi, but yeah, practically in politics even Prabhupada mentions that Mahatma Gandhi, he used Bhagavad Gita's name, because it's the holy book. So he used Bhagavad Gita for his non-violent, his things of non-violence and all. But practically, Bhagavad Gita itself was spoken on the battlefield, and there was a war about to begin. So where is this Bhagavad Gita giving the essence, that non-violence and so on? So yes, Prabhupada mentions. I don't know if you had something else to add. I think because you stopped in between. But yeah, thank you for adding that point from Prabhupada's interview. Okay, Kanchan Mataji or Pramila Mataji. You are unmuted, but I can't hear. Yes, now.
Mataji, today no question. And,
Your voice is breaking.
you can't hear me, Mataji?
Yeah, now you speak
I'm
up.
not audible.
It's audible now. You
Hare
continue.
Krishna. Uh, yes, Mataji, actually there is a lot of network issues. That's why. Yes, Mataji, actually no questions or doubts for today, and practical Mataji, that how we forget our relationship with God and get in touch with materialistic people and materialistic things, and then we used to get so many trouble, depression, stress, anxieties, and all. So Mataji, this words reminds me of like we should have to make connection to Vishnu or Krishna. So yeah, Mataji, I'm just in the face of this connection, and yes, Mataji, this was a nice word which really, I used to daily think about this word, and whenever I used to think or read to this particular word, that Mataji, my bhakti or my Krishna consciousness revives, Mataji. So, yes, Mataji, there should always today no doubts or questions from my side. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Yes, many points, specifically when we see Prabhupada's purports, um, even if we can just understand one line, one statement what Prabhupada mentions is purport, uh, I mean, we can advance very nicely in our Krishna consciousness, or we can become fixed in our Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada's purports are so amazing. Practically everything he mentions in any one purport, if we go through, one can understand that the conclusion he derives is okay, one has to do what Krishna wants, or one has to do bhakti, and so on. Like just one line, if we can understand that our real self-interest is in Vishnu. Two times he mentions in the previous both the verses, he mentions this point, that our actual self-interest is in Vishnu. I mean, that one line covers everything, that okay, I have to give up my tendency of sense gratification and take to what Krishna wants me to do, that is devotional service. So yes, we are so fortunate to be present during this time where we have all these books, all lectures of Srila Prabhupada, and all the the followers of Srila Prabhupada who are strictly following and preaching. So we are so fortunate. Now it's up to us how much we take advantage of it. But yeah, thank you so much for that nice point, Mataji. Okay, Pramila Mataji, is it possible for you? If you have something, you can maybe type it in the chat box. Okay, if not, then we'll close for today. And tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be back before 4 o'clock and we'll have the class. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. It was after a long time. And thank you for all your association. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Standard Pranam.